just wanted to know, so once a person has mastered concepts to a certain extent, well, of
Hmm.
course, you can't say that everybody knows the concept of robotics, all the concepts of robotics, because it keeps on evolving. The new concepts keep on evolving, and it's a
Hmm.
constant learning process. But once a person has mastered certain concepts, at least in the basic level, so they would like to implement those to get some
Hmm.
exposure of how exactly a particular algorithm or a particular concept is working.
Hmm.
So to get such practical exposure, it could be in terms of internships or it could be in terms of doing hands-on projects.
Hmm.
What is a best way for somebody to
Hmm.
get a practical exposure, especially in robotics?
Hmm. A very good question, because when at my college level, I was completely zero about robotics. Then I moved to a professional layer, professional job, was working in MNCs, and I was again zero in robotics, right? So for me, it was like boop dropped on IIT, and then okay, this is robotics, right?
Right,
So what I will suggest anyone, right? I've been through professional space, corporate world, then educational world, and now I'm at the research world. The
right,
difference between the corporate and the research world is you are really given a chance to foster your knowledge at the research level. So to
right.
answer your question, you can join a corporate sector where there are n number of startups who are coming across and they are building out things. But
Yeah,
the problem with with those corporate culture space would be that you will get a system which is pre-built, and then you just have to do a bit of touch ups, and that's how
right,
they will call you robotic engineer in corporate world.
right,
However, when the best part and the good part would be, hold on your horses, you will earn that money, wait, get some information and knowledge, join some
yes,
research institutes like IITs, right?
right,
Even non-IITs are also doing good. However, come to IIT Delhi. We are there to support you for sure, right? And join these places as an interns. I'll
right,
I'll tell you very a small secret that we used to think getting inside IIT is like whoa, right?
right,
But the deal is they are very open. They are very welcoming, because staying in these research institutes is the hardest thing. So they will
right,
welcome you completely. Come in, stay in, but the task that you will be given will be a make or break, right?
right.
But the level of information and the level of knowledge that you will gain while you
Hmm.
join any
Yeah,
research institute like this will be immense. You
right,
can stay here, you can work for 1 year or anything like that. And then I would say that that should be your stepping stone to now move into the corporate world. And
right.
even that, when you are out into the air, so there are two sections. One is the private organization, then there are government organizations. So space research, right? ISRO is really looking out for a lot of robotic engineers, right?
Yeah,
And then there are another startups which are actually building things from ground zero. One of the startup that came from our space was Peer Robotics, and I was amazed by the way they made things within 6 months, right?
yeah,
So I'll say step number one, complete your courses, get to know about everything in robotics, then judge about that, like, and see which field you want to go in. Do you want to be in sensing? Do you want to go in locomotion? Do you
yeah,
want to be in end effectors? Then research about n number of institutes which are focusing on that specific domain.
right.
Email professors, get there, reach out to them, get inside to those universities, work
Yeah,
there tirelessly. Like, I don't remember I had any break within like 1.5 year of my work. No Saturday, Sundays, nothing. And nobody will
okay,
force you. The good thing is,
right,
but you have to do it because the task that is assigned to you will make you work harder and study harder. So lab, library, robotics. Lab, library, robotics. No, it's eat, sleep, rave, repeat. It's just lab,
yeah,
library, and robotics. But
that's right.
the
Yeah,
amount of information and knowledge that you will gain within 1 year will be equivalent to 5 years of your corporate information. So
Yeah,
yeah, so yeah.
that's a very good point that you made, actually. I mean, even like there's so many misconceptions people have that it is pretty hard to get into research institutes. And I mean, it's pretty competitive. Well, of course, it is competitive, but then you just mentioned that they are very open and they welcome you. So that is actually a very encouraging fact. It should be a very encouraging fact for many for undergraduate people, especially. And thanks a lot for mentioning this point. It's a very valuable point that you mentioned. And also, I just the next big question, and probably the most interesting question for everybody. So how are the job opportunities for robotics in India, as well as, if at all, outside India as well? So because
Hmm.
ultimately anybody, no matter how hard they research during their undergraduate or postgraduate days, everybody wants to get into the job ultimately to earn money at least.
Hmm.
So how are the job opportunities in the field of robotics?
So job opportunities is booming a lot. Earlier it was down because we had the problems and hardware was very costly. But now, since the startup India and startups are booming in, the
Yeah,
cost of that hardware has really come down. And
right,
electrical chips have become very costly. Sorry, very cheap lately. So
right,
anybody can build a system on their own. With that, an environment has fostered in India. I'll first talk about India,
right.
where a lot of new gigs are coming in and a lot of job opportunities are being created. So
Yeah,
some of the good places that I can say is these startups and private organizations. There are a lot of
right.
big startups and big organizations which are actually opening up the door for robotic software engineering. For example, at work, they are one of
Mm-hmm.
our vendor, and I got in connect with them through our collaboration at IIT, and I understood about the whole environment, how a graduate engineer trainee GET is now joining this robotic startup, and he's been trained well enough for 6 months, and then being paid a very handsome amount of money across 12 to 13 lakhs per annum, which is a very good amount to start something with, right?
Right.
So we covered the private organizations. Now there are space research like ISRO, which is actually looking out for people, and they are really recruiting heavily. Then there are medical spaces now, and defectors are working into the medical organizations also. We've got entertainment, who knows, something is new there. And then the last one is investigation, where police and cops are now using drones for and artificial intelligence to keep the surveillance on. So I would say India is one of the best market right now, which is booming across in robotics because of the low cost of the labor, and then we know how to do make things, as they say, jugaad, right? So make things make things in a pretty cheap way.
Yeah,
So with that, a lot of new doors are opening up. And if you want to like go abroad, I would say go to Germany. Germans are really doing it better because so we have a collaboration with KUKA Robotics, and their head
right.
center is in Germany. So we are pretty much aware like how things are going across. Plus, I also had an interaction with Universal Robotics from Spain, and we had a small little work with them in London.
Mm-hmm.
So at that very moment, we understood that yep, Europe is catching a very fast-paced thing, and US is definitely a dream
Yeah,
for
of course.
everybody,
Of
right?
course, of course.
So,
Yeah. Yeah,
so these are
okay.
some of the things.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot. That was, again, very informative. And one last question, which I want to ask you, is that I mean, what is the present research that is happening in robotics, the different varieties of interesting projects or research activities that are happening in various organizations throughout the country and throughout the world? So, can you just give us a little bit of insight on that?
Sure. So current developing trends are humanoid robots and robots supporting people in everyday life. And
Yeah.
other intensive research areas are cooperative robots, bio-inspired robots, ubiquitous robots, and cloud robots. So if I give you a clear demarcation, like when you want to know what the present research is happening around, just look out for the problem across the air. So we've got the problem with agriculture, we've got the problem with climate change, we've got the problem with like doctors in medical field. So how to give a small sum up how a robotist thinks is how and these how these current trends are going in the air is by these problems. So if again I inspired bio inspired robotics is one of the things that is catching up a real good here. You know, Elon Musk is coming on with Neuralink, right? So
Yeah.
so I would say these are some of the latest trends which are happening around.
Right. That was very interesting as well. And thanks a lot, Mr. Parth. It was a wonderful interview, and it was very great interacting with you. I would, and also I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for giving some other useful information about what I intend to ask as well. Once again, thank you so much, and I hope that all the valuable points that you have given us today would give some really good insight to all the beginners and all the people who are aspiring to pursue their career in the field of robotics. Thank you so much.
Sure problem. No problem. Take care. And be there. Just do it. Everything will happen. Robotics is the next gig. And it's very easy, I'll tell you.
Uh, Thanks a lot. I mean, I would like audience to note this point. It is a very encouraging point when somebody says something is really easy. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Sure. Have a great day. Bye.
Yeah.